There's no way faster to lose an audience that you're growing than just posting for posting's sake.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I'm also super excited to introduce you to Elliott Pittman. So Elliott is the founder of the Michael Curtis Media, which is a prominent advertising agency that's based in Austin, Texas, and he specializes in working with knowledge-based businesses. And you know what? If you're a coach, that you're knowledge-based. If you're a consultant, knowledge-based. Courses, all that stuff, information products, knowledge base. And Elliott has worked with some of the biggest names that you've heard of in the space. And he decided to come join us here on the Amanda Kaufman Show, and I couldn't be more delighted. Welcome to the show, Elliott.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a fan of yours as well, and just excited to dig in.
Yes, so good, so good. So we have talked in a few conversations before we started doing the podcast just about the nature of the industry and, where it's going. And everybody, all industries are being really affected by this acceleration of AI and content proliferation. And, the sense that I'm getting in the expert space is that there's so much pressure to perform. And I was so curious, like, what's your take? You've been behind the scenes in some of these very big brands, but you've worked with so many people over the years in your space. Are you seeing the same thing of like this pressure to perform, or what are you seeing with, all the AI and everything that's unfolding right now?
Sure. And like I said, I'm super happy to be here and excited to have this conversation. I do sort of agree with you. We've got 40 something clients now in the coaching consulting space specifically, and that sense of pressure, that sense of, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Like, is our content valuable? Where do we go? What's the next step? That we see that across the board, and this isn't something. I think one of the big misconceptions that people have, especially when they're starting out, is, I'm the only one that has this thought. Like I'm concerned about like digging in on and creating like my coaching program or doing much consulting because like I don't have it all together yet. I bet I'm the only person that has this thought. I can tell you, being behind the scenes of launches and consultants that are doing not 5 million, not 10 million, but 20 million plus, they're having the same thoughts. They have those same concerns. They have those same questions. And this isn't a new thing either. This isn't like a lot of people think that this is just with the onset of AI that people are feeling this and having these questions. No, this is something that's always been there. Now, there's certainly accelerated that conversation with AI. And that we certainly have seen a lot more people asking themselves that more consistently. But it's a normal question. I think it's almost a human behavior thing. And for us, the thing that we come back to, the thing that we really lean into with our clients is, what is your IP? You got some stuff within you that you've learned that you want to teach others that frankly AI is not going to be able to recreate from scratch, right? It's just not going to be able to. We all have different experiences. We all have different campaigns that we've launched. We all have different teachers and coaches over the years that have taught us individual things that are based on their experience. AI can try to replicate that and kind of reproduce that, but it's never going to fully create that experience, that one-to-one human interaction that helps us move forward.
Absolutely. Something we've been talking a lot about at the Coaches Plaza has been the things that are human and the things that AI mimics. It mimics empathy. It mimics what it thinks will make you happy, for example. And that finer distinction of just realizing like AI, because it's stuck in mimicry, the best it can do is appease you, right? But appeasing you is not the same thing as activating joy and activating happiness. It's just, what would you like? Yes, sir. Here you go. And that's a very different dynamic than when you're, for example, in a coaching relationship where there could be some challenge in there and compassion in there, and being able to read the room, read the tonality and all of those kinds of things are very human skills that have a lot of value, and they've had a lot of value for a long time. And in my view, they're going to continue to have a lot of value. But I think, and I'm curious about your take, I think that the competitive edge is not so much what you know, right? Or even the information that you have. It's more so what is that client experience that you're going to create? How do you make people how do you make people feel when they're engaging with your brand? And I think that that's going to be more of a differentiator than anything. But I'm curious, like, would you argue with that? Would you add to
No,
that?
no, I completely agree with that. That's one of the reasons we're seeing events coming back, not a little bit. Like we're seeing events, both small events and large events. So we some of our clients do events for one person or five or 10. We also have clients that are doing 1,000+ person events that a year ago were struggling to fill up 200-person events because people are craving that one-to-one interaction or that one-to-many interaction. And there's just something so magical that happens. And I hate to put it in that language, but it is. There's some type of magic or some type of connection really that happens there when you're human to human that we don't get necessarily through AI and definitely not always through the screen. Through the screen is still important, but that human touch is just you just can't replicate it. It's just different.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting invited to do some speaking events and things like that this year, and I was thinking, I'm like, wow, what a great opportunity to get back into the room, and let's talk a little bit about the online experience. I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel a lot of pressure and that pressure to perform when it comes to, for example, on organic. Like if you're on TikTok, for example, you're not on there for 3 minutes before somebody's screaming, post 30 times a day, post 30 times a day. And there's like this really, kind of aggressive and, in my view, non-sustainable way of just clamoring for all this attention. And the thing is that with like I feel like I'm getting a little stuck on the AI, but truly like the workflows and the priorities that people have, it can feel a little impossible to start because if you're
Mhm.
competing with somebody who has, trained team and they've got the bots on their side and they're like doing all this stuff to be as prolific as possible, it can feel like why bother starting? So I'm
Sure.
curious what you would say to somebody who is maybe stuck in this loop of it's not good enough to compete, and also I can't even keep up with the volume, and also what's the point?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's also a frankly very common one, right? It's a big challenge that people run into. And this is how I landed this. Again, we have clients truly that frankly fit the category, fit the mold of exactly what you're talking about. They're sending out, we have one client that's doing legitimately like 12 TikToks a day, 15 Instagram posts per day, sending out, hundreds of thousands of emails per day in their multi-million list. Like, how do you keep up with that? And to me, and also the data also shows this, people are craving truth. People are craving real. People are craving well thought out, not just well intentioned and well meaning, but real interactions, right? Your people's audiences see through it. We're in a place now where people understand how prolific content can be. And your audience doesn't need to be millions. Your audience doesn't need to be hundreds of thousands. Frankly, some of our best performing coaches and consultants have a few hundred people in an email list that they had zero with last year. They have not even 1,000 followers across all their socials combined. And they're posting once or twice a week, but only when they have something really valuable and real to share. Right? They never fell into that trap of, oh gosh, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I have to post like what I'm having for breakfast. Like people are not going to follow me. Like no, the audience. I can understand where that mentality comes from. However, like your audience is actually your potential audience, and frankly, humans have kind of grown past that. A lot of the novelty of posting to post has worn off. In a lot of ways, it can actually have negative effects for you, right? There's no way faster to lose an audience that you're growing than just posting for posting's sake. Because again, people
Mm.
people become flat out immune to it. They won't want to pay attention to what you have to say. So whenever you are posting or whenever you are sharing something, make sure it's something of value or something that's humorous or something that they want to be entertained by or they want to engage with. But just doing it for volume's sake isn't going to get you the result that you want. And I mentioned the data behind that. again, some of our most, not only some of our most profitable. And I think that's something that it's a lot of coaches and consultants miss, right? A lot of coaches are like, oh, I want to generate, $1 million this year, or $5 million, or $10 million. They, if you look at the back end of those businesses, a lot of those businesses that are doing big revenue numbers, okay, hey, I generated $1 million this year. I spent $1.1 million this year. Like, meanwhile we see a lot of coaches that are, hey, they started last year, they started a couple of years ago. They've got this business that they've grown to maybe $100,000, $200,000 a year in revenue, but also there's very little cost in it, right? Where it's like, hey, I generated $200,000. It's my second or third or fourth year doing this, but the only cost I have is I don't have a big team, right? I don't have a lot of things to support, and I don't have a lot of big expenses behind this business. And it's not only profitable, but it's causing them to live the life that they want to live.
Yeah, if it's costing you your sanity, it's probably not worth
Right.
the investment, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been on the both sides of that, of just like high spend in, or high revenue in, high spend out, higher risk, more chaos, bigger team, more to oversee. And I ultimately decided to like pull it way back. So we are now very, very streamlined. And like, not only is the team a whole heck of a lot happier, our clients are happy because we're happy, and there's just sort of like this whole vibe. And our monthly revenue came down considerably, but our profit went way up. And even more, exciting for me as a business owner is we were able to start rolling out things that are more like subscriptions or monthly recurring. So we were able
Mhm.
to stabilize cash flow and go even like lower in price point, increasing accessibility, but actually made more, right? And a lot of that came down to just it was the lifestyle behind it, and just kind of going, okay, there may be a season when I want to grow that big again, but I don't want to grow like that. Like I want to grow the right way to get there. So yeah, couldn't agree more. You said something that really sparked something in me about content, like the quantity quality argument. And one of the mistakes I made as a marketer and as a coach is I used to treat my social posts like journals, right? So they were like an extension of my journaling practice, except they were like public entries instead of posts. Can you talk to me a little bit about like if I'm only posting say twice a week or even daily, but I'm not doing the mad posting strategy. I'm doing something that's much more deliberate. How do you look at quality? How do you know it's like a really quality post? And, I think I've learned my lesson about not posting my journal entries, but what's your take on that? What makes it
Yeah.
quality?
Sure. I think it comes to for a few different things. And I think that it all spans from clarity on who you are and who your market is and what you're trying to get out of it. You mentioned something there about you've changed the way your approach. You had a bigger business that was doing more revenue, and you've scaled it back, and now you're doing so much better with it. For a lot of years, like my background was I was a startup guy. I worked with a bunch of VCs and private equity. I was in that, hustle, hustle, hustle like mentality for a long time, like do more, do more, do more, do more. I've learned that clarity in thoughts and clarity in direction is 10 times more valuable than hustle, frankly. And that's my approach to my people's socials as well. Like, hey, whenever you're going to post, again, it's social media. It's okay to be frivolous from time to time. I'm not going to pretend like that's not the case. You need to be engaging, and you need to create an enjoyable experience that your audience is going to follow. But when it comes to those quality posts, it becomes a question of like, hey, what's the through line that I'm trying to build to, right? How am I baby birding, or how am I stepping my audience towards either a product or a conversation that I want to have with them about a product down the line that's going to lead to that. Also, frankly, is this something that I would enjoy and I would appreciate reading? Right. That's the other thing that we've really learned with audiences as well is if what we're writing every single time is purely like a CTA to buy something, again, your audience is going to turn on you very quickly, and they'll either unsubscribe or will stop paying attention to you. So again, what is that long-term through line based on the clarity? of your market and the clarity of what you're trying to sell and who you are is what's going to get you there.
So good. So good. I like to say that when you're posting to social media, you're basically just using media to be social. So like if you're the kind of person who would make a fart joke, you should probably somehow make a fart joke on your social media. Like that's basically what I'm getting. It's like, it is using that media to be social, but also like social in a direction. There's so much, again, getting back to kind of that pressure, that pressure to have really big accounts and huge follower counts and, all these, I think a lot of people can kind of dismiss it as vanity metrics. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I kind of look at it as like there's a level of social proof that does come with having a larger audience or more engagement on the things that you do post. I'm actually really curious on your take about that as well. Like you can be very successful with a smaller audience. But some of that I think also comes down to what is your definition of success?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
like what's your take on the whole vanity metric argument?
yeah, I certainly think there are people. I certainly think vanity metrics are a thing. I think that most people that are concerned, how do I put this? If you are considering the fact that if you're concerned that you may be focused on vanity metrics, then your head is probably in the right place. Meaning like you're not, if you're genuinely thinking like, okay, am I doing this because or am I buying followers? There's lots of businesses
Oh,
that buy followers. Don't ever do that.
right.
Like that's why am I doing this? Like what's going on there? That's not a thing. However, if you're doing things and posting to drive engagements for your audience, that to me is the most important question. And the reason engagement is important is because again, we're trying to have people take a step towards us. I love your analogy there around it being, social. You're just being social online, right? You're having people take a step towards you, and you're extending your hand as well, so they're able to do that. So that's my approach to it.
I love that. I love that. You mentioned that you have had that pivot or that transition from the hustle, hustle, go, go, go kind of guy to somebody who's more deliberate around accessing your clarity. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because lately I've been getting a lot of questions in my coaching program. So this is a very selfish question, but I'm getting a lot of questions in my coaching program around how do I navigate the chaos and the mind stuff that's going on while I'm building? How do I stay centered? How do I stay in momentum? I'm hearing a lot of people are basically well intended, they've got a plan, it seems like they're clear, but then they're hitting some kind of a wall and they lose motivation and they kind of turn away from the project for a bit. And then when they turn back, they're like, oh no, I've got to do this big lift. And there's like more resistance in that. So I'd love to hear, what your take might be or what your philosophy is around balancing the intensity level that is required for any strategy, but not flipping into that place where you're either in blind hustler or flipping into burnout and you got to shut it off. Like what's your take on that? How do you approach that?
I think there's three different aspects to this for me that really touch this that are the most important of it for it. The first is, and I love to hear that you're dealing with this and you're hearing this in your one-on-one coaching sessions, because to me the number one thing to get past that and focus on that is making sure you have coaches and mentors in your life that are helping hold you accountable both to your long-term vision and to your metrics. It's so much easier for somebody to be standing outside of our situation to help us to be able to see like, okay, they're actually able to take a look at this full path and they see that it's a long windy path, and there's going to be lots of different turns and twists, and there's lots of things that we're stuck on in this moment, that they're not focused on the day-to-day of our business. Like they're not focused on, crap, did I post on Instagram at 7:47 this morning to get 17 people to like my post so I can have 3 phone calls? They're not focused on that. They're focused on helping you like on the long-term journey. That's why I think mentorship and coaches are so important, is to help you be that. And they can also help pull you up when you're getting stuck, right? That to me is number one. Number two is, again, I hate to sound like the stereotypical marketer, but having clarity on your data and what your long-term objectives and your long-term goals are, and then letting yourself be driven by short-term milestones. right? And when I say short-term milestones, we like to do yearly planning, then we like to do quarterly goals, and then we have weekly and sometimes daily milestones. Just like, what are the little things? What are the small wins or small tasks that I need to do today? Not 1,000 of them. Give me like 2 or 3, because I can feel like I'm staying in momentum and staying on top of it, so I can continue to move forward. And the third piece of this is frankly community. And community can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For me, I find where I am able to stay focused and stay aligned is not only having a mentor that's helping me, and I've got several mentors that I talk to on a weekly basis, but not only having a mentor that allows me to help have that long-term vision and having my goals and my numbers, that if you're in my office right now, you'd see my numbers right in front of me. But then also having a couple communities, really one core community that I'm able to like ask questions and frankly talk with other entrepreneurs that are in the same place that I am, other coaches that are in the same place that I am, that have similar struggles, and knowing that, hey guys, some days we're gonna have good days, some days we're gonna have challenging days. At the end of it, we need to know, and we're also not near as bad as what we think we are. There's times where we have those days where everything's cooking and we feel like we're the smartest person in the world. That's great, but that's not reality. Like, we have good days, and then we also have days where we may do the exact same thing and we get stuck and we think that we're the worst entrepreneur or coach that's ever lived. That's also not reality, right? Like the same tactics can frankly lead to very opposite directions. We just got to understand that's today's focus. Tomorrow's going to be a different day.
So gold, so good. I am really curious, what are you personally focused on over the next while? What's the direction you're growing in?
Sure. So I think the best way to answer that is to explain a little bit about who we are and what we do. So Amanda, one of the stories that I kind of shared with you when you and I first got to know each other was, I'm CEO of a company called Michael Curtis Media. And the first question I get, the number one question I get is, hey, who's Michael Curtis? Are you a business development guy? Like, you seem nice, but why am I talking to you? So Michael Curtis is actually a pen name. My brother and my son's middle name is Michael. My middle name is Curtis. The whole shtick behind our business is we're the brand behind the brand. So much so that we're not even led by a real person, right? We help other people be successful, and we want to partner with your brand to make you a success and help you scale and help you grow. So as I look at the things that we're the most excited about, we're always bringing on new clients, and that's always going to be a fun thing, and that's always going to be exciting for us. The other things, though, that we're looking for is we're really in a place now where we're producing a lot of our own contents, a lot of our training, a lot of our own support for people, for a lot of frankly coaches, consultants, agency owners that are getting stuck on a day-to-day, that are feeling like everything as simple as, wow, the lead generation that I did last year is not working like it is today. Are
I'm
more
hearing
complicated
that
than that.
one a
Oh yeah,
lot.
a whole lot.
The webinars I used to do, the lead gen, I'm hearing it a lot.
It's like, why, hey, I see that guy, I see insert famous person here doing the exact same that I'm doing. They must be seeing a lot of more success with it. Not necessarily. So we're helping a lot with those conversations. We're also helping with a lot more, frankly, I would say a lot more. We're also helping with a lot of businesses that are kind of on the other end of the spectrum, and which is making me excited. Like, how do we help coaches and consultants exit their business, right? Like, have you even considered that? What does that look like? How in the world, hey, I've got a coaching program called Elliott Pittman Coaching. How do I exit that? Okay, let's have some conversations of what that looks like. So let's lay some frameworks and some groundwork in place so one day you can exit that business. Will it look like it is today? Not exactly, but the important thing is there is a roadmap for you to get there. Let's help you do that.
So good. And so unique as well in the space. I think that a lot of people, well, everybody practically talks about starting, but
Mhm.
so few talk about the next chapter and like what happens after you no longer want to do this. And if you have it set up the right way, it doesn't have to be just like a dissolution and a wind down. The value can continue. So I love that. So good. Elliot, what's the best way for people to follow you?
Sure. A couple things. You can check us out. You can find most of our socials at michaelcurtismedia.com. You can also find me on Facebook, or you find me on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com/advertising strategist. Either way, you're going to find us, and happy to engage with anybody that follows up with us.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time and for joining us for the show.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. And then I hope we can do it again sometime, Amanda. You're a joy to be around, and looking forward to get to know your audience better.
Absolutely, absolutely. And dear listener, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. And hey, when you're listening to this, if you got a golden nugget, which I'm sure you did, grab the link to the show and share it with like two or three of your friends. Just send it over on text or send it over on DM because I'm sure they'd love to hear this conversation. And finally, like if you really want to do something awesome for us, I mean, I don't say no to gifts. The most important thing is leaving a review. So if you leave an honest review wherever you happen to be listening to this, we really appreciate that because it lets other people preview whether they want to come and join the show and listen as well. And we're always grateful for that effort. All right, my friends, until we meet again, make sure that you just keep going and do what matters.